Hey, welcome to Live from Dennis's House. Today, we are going to be talking to Wayne Kramer, the great Wayne Kramer of the legendary band MC5. And of course, they were legendary, revolutionary, badass band. The godfathers of punk, influenced everyone. And at a time when it was mostly peace and love in the late 60s, these guys came out with Kick Out the Jams and with guns and all this revolution. They were in the White Panther Party. They played the Democratic National Convention in 1968 with riots going all around them. And I think they played for like 8 hours or something at that point, because no one else showed up. And of course, the band was Wayne Kramer on guitar, Fred Sonic Smith on guitar, who later married Patti Smith. And then we had Rob Tyner on vocals, Machine Gun Thompson on drums, and Michael Davis on bass. And of course, they influenced the whole generation. Every punk band says their main influence was MC5. And, after the band broke up, Wayne has been involved in a solo career, producing, songwriting, composing for film and TV. He's an activist, humanitarian. He started Jail Guitars Doors, which is a program to get inmates musical instruments. And, he's made quite a mark on the music scene over the last 40 some odd years. All right, on the phone with us now is the great Wayne Kramer from the legendary band MC5. Thanks for joining us, Wayne.
Thanks for the opportunity to blab.
All right, so now we're going to see if we can summarize your entire life up until today with one 20-minute conversation. So let's start from the beginning. And, of course, MC5, famously from Detroit. Can you tell us what it was like growing up in Detroit during the 50s and 60s, and what made it such a fertile ground for music?
Good jobs. Good jobs made it fertile ground. Good union jobs, and plenty of them. A great pollination of immigrants and people from the southern states that came up, and the African American culture, and it was just it was a all-American city. It was, if you wanted it built, we could build it in Detroit. And so a thriving music scene grew out of all that stability and opportunity.
Right, because parents could afford to buy their kids guitars and drums and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, and there was places to play, and the factories went 24/7, so you could work in a club 7 nights a week, 5 sets a night, start at 9 o'clock till 2 in the morning, and play 5 45-minute sets. So there was a lot going on in the 50s and 60s.
Right. So now, what were your influences to pick up the guitar? Who were you listening to, and you said, all right, I got to play guitar myself?
Chuck Berry and Dwayne Eddy were two of my big original influences.
Right. Now, do you remember getting your first guitar, where you got it, what kind of guitar it was?
Yeah, it was a K, and it was a piece of shit. It was an awful guitar. It was impossible to play.
Well, that builds character, right?
Something like that.
And calluses. So now MC5 were like radical badasses at a time when most musicians were into peace and love. Now, what do you think influenced you guys? Were you guys like juvenile delinquents? Was it the blue-collar neighborhood you brought up in? What got you into that?
Yeah, it was those two things, and we were also part of a generation that rebelled against the way our parents were doing things. The contradictions were too much to take. The war in Vietnam didn't make any sense. The way people of color were treated didn't make any sense. The way the police departments treated everybody didn't make any sense. Drug laws didn't make any sense. Sexual mores didn't make any sense. And so we embraced our times, and then we became radicalized by the violence of the day, and incorporated that into the art as well.
Now, you guys famously also, started, I think, the White Panther Party. Can you tell us what that was, how you got involved with that?
We read in the Black Panther newspaper that the Black Panther Party called out for white radicals to do parallel work in our community, and we found it was a way to give expression to our frustration with the slow pace of change. And we admired the Black Panther Party and thought that they really dressed well. And, we had a kind of unrealistic idea about violence. Right. That guns were somehow sexy or manly or romantic. And, of course, that was all a terrible mistake for everyone involved. The Black Panthers, it got them death squads across the country. And for the White Panthers, it got us court cases and indictments and jailings and kicked out of the music business.
Yeah, because that kind of stuff when terrified the country at this time, and then the FBI was on you, and you don't want the government and FBI coming down on you, like you said, right?
Well, it wasn't part of my plan, no.
Yeah. So then, because John Sinclair ended up getting arrested, and all this problems. That the government will not rest once you're on their bad side, right?
No, the Nixon and Mitchell Justice Department didn't rest, and of course, they're not resting today.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Today they're snooping on everyone's phone and internet, and spy planes and satellites, and civil liberties, free expression are under attack right now. Everybody seems to kind of be going along with it like, gee, yeah, it's okay. Well, yeah, it's not okay.
Yeah. And then at the 1968 Democratic National Convention, of course, there was a riot going on. Now, is it true that you guys played for 8 hours straight during this time while these riots are going all around you?
That's a great rumor. No, we didn't play for 8 hours. Oh. We played for an hour.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how that rumor got started, but I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. I'll go with it. Yeah. Can you tell us a little about, because a lot of people were too young at this time or, weren't aware. And what was it like, say, at that national convention when all this craziness is going on?
It was very exciting, very dangerous, and very romantic.
So now you guys, obviously you were very political, and like you said, this kind of stuff got you thrown off the record label and stuff. So what do you think about what's going on in politics today? So do you support a mainstream party at this point, or are you a Green Party, or whatever kind of party there is out there?
Well, there is no party to support that, that has a chance of doing anything that I think would be in the interest of the country. Right. If Hillary wins, the Republicans will, I'm sure they're plotting her impeachment now.
Right.
Just like they did to Barack Obama, the day of his inauguration, they were planning to stiff-arm him on anything he was going to attempt to accomplish. So, we're in it's an interesting time to see how this all might shake out. The trouble is, I think, that no matter what happens, it's going to be more of the same.
Right.
And I would like to see justice reform on a massive scale. We've locked up more people than any country in the history of the world for longer periods of time under worse conditions. We've destroyed entire communities with political expediency. Our foreign policy, in my maybe not so humble opinion, is a embarrassment and a international disaster. The idea that we're going to export Western liberal lifestyle and values to the Middle East with men with guns is is ludicrous.
Yeah, it hasn't been working so good over these years.
The idea that somehow we're the world's policemen is terrible folly.
Right. So now, have you ever thought about running for office?
I thought once about running for the musicians union office, but I got over it.
Yeah. Now, the one thing, I never talk politics, but since you're on the show, we're going to talk politics just for a little bit. But don't you think that if, say, 40 years ago, people started voting third party, fourth party, all this stuff, by this time that maybe there would be a relevant third party or fourth party?
Sure. Just like Europe.
Right. And I think that's what the problem is, because now every time someone suggests voting for a third party or fourth party, someone says, oh, that's a wasted vote. And then it just keeps going the same year after year, and nothing changes. So
I voted for Nader.
There you go.
Back in the day. I mean, I voted my conscience.
Okay. That's what I think everyone should do. Just vote for your conscience. So, all right. So you mentioned that you're talking about drug laws and stuff. So that brings us to our next thing. You are involved in Jail Guitar Doors, which is something that Billy Bragg started in England. And then you got involved with that, and you started up a chapter or whatever you call it in the USA. So can you tell us how you got involved with that, how that came about? Sure.
In case your listeners don't know, I served a federal prison term in the 1970s at the beginning of the drug war.
Right.
And after I was released, I watched as more and more people just like me went to prison for longer sentences under worse conditions. And it pissed me off. I said, when is somebody going to do something about this? First it was thousands, then it was tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Today it's 2.3 million of our fellows under lock and key.
Right.
And nobody ever did say anything about it until the last couple of years. So I decided, I've been an activist all my life, and the only way I can militantly oppose nihilism, my own sense of meaninglessness, or my own cynicism, which is the problem, is to take ethical action. And by ethical action, I mean thoughts and actions that move in the direction of human happiness and away from the direction of human suffering.
Right.
So I knew I was a musician, and I'm an ex-convict. I'm a returned citizen. What could I do? I could play concerts in prisons. I always enjoyed it when people from the outside came in and played when I was in prison.
Right.
And so I took a bunch of my friends, Tom Morello, Gilby Clark, Don Was, Perry Farrell, and his wife, Jerry Cantrell, Handsome Dick Manitoba.
Okay.
And we all went into Sing Sing in New York. And I took Billy Bragg on that show, and he started telling me about Jail Guitar Doors in England. And I said, that's a good thing. You're British, but I should probably do this in America. And he said, good, because I was just going to task you with it.
Nice.
So my wife, Margaret Kramer, Billy Bragg, and I founded Jail Guitar Doors USA. That was 8 years ago. Today we have, our guitars are in over 75 American prisons.
Oh, that's great.
We run songwriting workshop programs in county jails across the country, in Cook County in Chicago, here in the Los Angeles County Jail, in Texas, and in San Diego. And we run songwriting workshop programs in 4 California state prisons, including the California Institute for Women and one in the California Youth Authority camps. They call them camps, but actually prisons for boys.
Okay. Yeah, so and now you supply them with instruments and classes and all of this stuff, right? And that, because a lot of these people, there's no rehabilitation in prison. Did you find that when you were in there? Did you have your guitar when you were in there?
I caught the tail end of the era of rehabilitation in American corrections.
Right.
So yes, I had my guitar. We had a band.
Okay.
We had a lot of programs, but they all went away with the drug war and ratcheting up of mass incarceration in America.
Okay. So now
they took the weights away from prisoners in California.
The weights?
Yeah.
Wow. So now,
yeah, they took the books out of the libraries.
Jeez. That but now, like, what do you think of the drug laws and everything? Because in a way, didn't it kind of save you by getting you off of drugs at that point?
It didn't really get me off drugs.
Oh, okay.
I did everything I took every program that they made available. But the state of the art of recovery was, this is the 1970s.
Right.
And we didn't know the things that we know today, what works and what doesn't work. And it was many years before I finally found a way to live where drinking and drugging weren't necessary.
Right. So
I didn't get sober till I was 50. I'm 68 today.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Congratulations. And
thanks.
So now let's talk a little bit about the arrest itself. Did it stem from the FBI still after you guys from the MC5 or?
Well, I asked the DEA agent that arrested me, how did he find out about me? And he said, Kramer, we have shit on you going back to the 60s.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, there's a whole file. Did you ever want to, like, your Freedom of Information, go check out your file or something?
I have them all, yes.
Oh, goodness. So, all right. So now let's talk about a little bit now about your upcoming concert. You're going to be doing a concert, a tribute to Johnny Thunders, playing this classic music with Clem Burke and Walter Lohr and you, of course. And, tell us about that. How did that come about?
Jesse Malin put it together.
Oh, okay.
My dear brother, Jesse Malin. And so he phoned up and he said, we're thinking about doing this. Does this sound like fun? And I said, yeah, it could be fun. Let's give it a try. And it just kind of blew up overnight.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention Tommy Stinson from Replacements is also going to be playing with you guys.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. If we can create some good feelings that are connected with Johnny's memory and the music that he made in the Heartbreakers, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, you just had like one date at first, and then it went to 2 dates, and then multiple shows. You think you guys might extend it if it goes well? You're going to extend it more cities?
If it's fun.
Yeah. It sounds like it's going to be fun.
After I've done a couple.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be an awesome show. So now you're living in LA now, and you're working on films and TV composing and all of this too. So now, how did that come about? How did you get involved in that?
Well, at a certain point, getting in the van again didn't quite have the luster that it once did.
Yeah.
I mean, I really, I love playing music for people, and I still want to do some gigs, but, I don't want to do 50 cities, and, I don't want to tour Europe in a van in the winter. And
yeah.
so I always felt like, I'd like to try to do music for film, and, it just seemed like something, maybe I could do that. And so, I met some people out here that were in the TV business, and they asked me to write a couple things, and that went well. And then I met some movie guys, and they asked me to write some stuff. So, so far, so good.
Now, what's next? What do you got coming up? You got any new music coming out? You got a memoir, a book you're writing, anything like that?
Yeah, all the above. I'm going to start a little movie next week, a documentary on the 60s for a very good filmmaker. And then I got a feature in the new year and a couple other things. It's a very competitive business, so you gotta be, working it.
Yeah. I think the MC5 should be a feature film. The story about them is amazing. Somebody should do that.
I'm with you. I think it'd probably make a good story too.
Who'd you like to play you if they do that?
Who would I like to have play me?
Yeah.
I don't have the faintest idea.
How about Mark Wahlberg? I think he'd be good.
That sounds great.
So now, I want to talk a little bit about the. Yeah, I want to talk about the MC5 legacy, though, now. That, because I've talked to a lot of punk musicians, and every one of them says their influence is MC5, whether it's the Dead Boys from Cleveland, the Damned from England, Ramones, New York, whoever it is, MC5 is the main influence on all these guys. And, MC5 never sold tons of albums, #1 albums, anything like that. So what do you think is the legacy of the MC5? And do you think you'll be in the Hall of Fame? Do you care about that at all?
Well, it's always nice to be recognized for your work. So to that degree, it's an interesting idea. It's kind of hard to quantify art as opposed to, how many home runs did you hit?
Right.
So, but I think probably the reason is the uncompromising stance that the band represented, the fact that the band really represented the sense of possibilities. In the music itself, we were trying to push beyond the beat and the key and try to find a new way to play that wasn't tied to any pre-existing traditions. And the fact that the MC5 never did pull the golden horseshoe out of their ass. Mm-hmm. We never did have a hit record. We never were a hit band. Kind of cements that outsider identity, and I think it's it's kind of stuck in time. Like Marilyn Monroe will always be that beautiful blonde, or James Dean will always be that beautiful young man, and the MC5 will always be that crazed, revolutionary, free jazz, electric guitar, rock band, that they sang that song about kicking out the Jams motherfuckers, and got thrown off the radio and kicked off their record label and arrested by the police and went to prison and all that.
You guys were groundbreaking for sure. You were way ahead of your time. And I remember I was just a little kid at this point. I remember seeing you guys on some show or something. And I was like, oh my God, these are the coolest guys I've ever seen in my life. This is ridiculous. So, but, I want to thank you for all this great music you've created. And you've given me personally a lot of joy. And, I want to congratulate you on all your humanitarian work, activism. You're doing great work out there. But one final question is, do you have any regrets about your career, life, anything in general?
Well, no, I don't have any regrets. I mean, it all had to go that way,
Right.
I don't shut the door on the past, but I don't have any regrets about it. And, if I could go back and do things differently, would I? Yeah, I would have avoided some of the big mistakes I made.
Right.
But we can't do that.
Right.
The past is locked. It's locked up in time, and you can't undo it. And so I just try to, learn what there is to be learned from it, and try not to make those same mistakes again.
Right. And like you say, everything you did in your life brings you to the point you are now. So if you change anything, who knows where you'll be. So
I used to think, that so many years were wasted, behind a bottle of vodka or a bag of heroin or something. And then I finally come to realize that it's the most valuable thing I have, because if I meet another guy and he's going through what I went through,
right.
I can say the one thing to him that nobody else can say, which is, I know how he feels, because I did that too,
Right. You were like a messenger. All right. So I want to thank you, Wayne. It's been great talking to you, and I can't wait. I'm going to see you November 16th at the Bowery Electric, and I can't wait for that concert. It's going to be a great, great time, and I want to congratulate you and thank you for everything.
Well, thanks, Dennis. It's always nice to know somebody's listening, and come by and say hello at the gig so I can put a face to the
Yes, voice. I'll be covering it with my camera, so I'll come and see you.
Terrific.
All right, thanks, Wayne.
You're welcome.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, welcome back to Live from Dennis's House. That was the great Wayne Kramer. What a great guy. And as you heard, we learned so much. Musician, singer, songwriter, producer, composer, activist, humanitarian. He's doing great work with this jail guitar Doors. And, it's just a crazy, crazy time. And, I was very glad to talk to him. And I just love the MC5. I love his solo work. And as you heard, he did the soundtrack to Talladega Nights, the Will Ferrell movie, one of my favorite movies. And of course, he has the MC5, Kick Out the Jams, one of the greatest songs ever recorded. So we're going to wrap this show up. And you guys go check out if you can. It's probably all sold out, but he's going to be doing a Johnnie Thunders concert at Bowery Electric November 15th and 16th. Clem Burke on drums, Tommy Stinson, Walter Lohr at the Bowery Electric. This has been Live from Dennis's House. See you next time.